Blackguard Volume 1 Review. Author Ryo Handa is perhaps best known for being a creator behind the vampire series Devil's Line, but now she returns to the English market with a new series called Blackguard. Does it prove an interesting read? Let's find out. In 2030, a virus from outer space is brought to Earth, causing humans to turn into shoujo, ferocious ape-like monsters. The shoujo feed on humans, and it only takes a single bite from one for you to become infected and to turn into a shoujo yourself. To try and combat these monsters, humanity has built aerial cities and formed a special unit known as the Guards to fight back. The protagonist is Minami, a member of the Guards who regularly kills more shoujo than other teams combined. He fights solo and recklessly, with no regard for his safety, all because he thinks every fight will be his last. Minami has a chronic mental illness known as morbosy, which means he is constantly suicidal. He takes medication to help, but it doesn't cure the inclinations. Minami's bosses don't want to see such a useful combatant be killed in the line of duty, so they instruct the ace of the sector, a reserve unit, Chris Miyagi, to team up with Minami on his missions. Naturally, Chris sees this as nothing but a frustrating babysitting job, but the more time he spends with Minami and sees his abilities up close, the more he grows to understand him. Minami lives a life with no joy, never eating anything but the supplements provided by his job and nothing enjoying any hobbies in his downtime. Chris can't even begin to fathom how Minami has to survive this long leading a life like this, and it is cool to teach Minami all about what life has to offer outside of fighting the shoujo. On the whole, I found this first volume a mixed bag in terms of the content. Beyond the initial setup regarding the shoujo and the fights we see, there is a lot of world building there. There are small tidbits here and there, like the fact humanity tried to kill the shoujo off with a poison gas, which the shoujo revolt adapted, and now the same gas is hazardous for humans themselves. Why they wanted to know what's the end goal of fighting the shoujo? Does humanity believe they can kill them all off, or do the bigwigs just hope to keep them away from the small areas humanity currently resides in? Because the world building is so murky, it's hard to get invested in it, so you're left with only Minami and Chris to drive your interest in the series. The instance I've given mixed results. Since Minami isn't a particularly likable character, I especially don't like the fact that he's so hellbent on dying. I think that anyone who has had suicidal thoughts will find it difficult to read this manga and not getting upset by the depiction of Minami's mental illness, especially given its made clear throughout these chapters that Minami doesn't even understand what it means to die. How his life will end and there will be nothing more. This just doesn't work for scaring the story. Chris's archetype ends up being of someone grumpy older mentor who he will probably be a great character all in his own, but paired with Minami, he doesn't get a chance to shine. Hopefully going forward there will be more of the focus on the world building, because if the author fleshed it could be a quite interesting series. If it had something else to grab onto which they then focus on so heavily on Minami, I think it would be easier to convince readers to continue past this point. As mentioned, this manga is by Ryo Handa, and if you read any of her work before then you instantly recognize the art style. It's not particularly detailed, and characters regularly look off model. Panels will be filled with just a character's head and some dialogue without any backgrounds. Given this series' very sparse appearance, I'm not a huge fan of the style, but if you read Devil's Line, then you know what to expect here. Either way, it's certainly not a manga you'll be picking out for the artwork. Blackguard Volume 1 comes to the West thanks to Vertical via Kodansha. It has been translated by Melissa Tanaka. The translation reads fine with no issues to note. The series is complete in Japan, and in 5 volumes, and Volume 2 is scheduled for English release in May. This release includes color pages at the beginning, but rather than a glossy paper, than a matte finish, and the thick fades of the art better, but it isn't what you normally expect from the publisher. Overall, Blackguard has a potential to be interesting, but this first book struggles to set up any of the hooks necessary. Given our protagonist is a focus on suicide, this series will inherently be overwhelming for some readers, and I'm honestly not convinced this direction will offer a good payoff to counteract having such a heavy topic. Had there at least been more focus on the shoujo, I think this would have been an easier recommendation. But right now, there is nothing I can point to and say is good here. A free review can be found on the publisher's website here. 4/10.